Guys, how's it going? This is the McClix tuning in, and today I'm going to be talking about the WizKids Open tournament that I went to yesterday in Colorado, and I'll be talking about my team, the strategy behind it, that from how I played it, some of the other teams I played against, and pretty much just overall how I experienced it, why I chose this team, how I played it, and maybe how I played it against other teams in the current meta or competitive scene right now. And then, as you can see here, this is the prize support that I got. I got second place, and almost got first place, but the guy I played against, he was a really good player, and he deserved the win for sure. So yeah, with that, I chose the Quinjet at full 140 with the 5-point resource dial. I chose Felix Faust, I chose Jarvis, and Betty Brandt. So that should total out to 280. And then I have 7 ID cards, obviously 3 free from Jarvis. So I played with the Nightwing, the LE Nightwing, the Trinity War Batman, the Black Canary LE, the 135-point Green Arrow, from the Gravity Feed, obviously Nick Fury, of course, the Super Rare Iron Man from Nick Fury, and the Atom. And Super Rare Iron Man is 50 points for the Pilot and the Atom, but we'll talk more about why I kind of chose those, a little bit why I chose those ID cards. So that was my team. Just a little bit of background real quick so you guys know a little bit more about my background in Heroclix. So I've been playing, I think, for a little over a year now, maybe more, I think, somewhere around there. I started right around after the Flash set came out, I think, or when Trinity War came out. And then, so yeah, I just decided to, I like Heroclix, and I like dice mechanics within board games. And I kind of like, I used to play chess just a little bit back in the day, but not much. But that intrigued me too. So, I mean, that all combined, I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is a game I want to start playing. So, for the past however long I've been playing Heroclix, I kind of learned. I played against a few good guys here and there, like casual play, so they taught me a lot. And then from that, I went into I think maybe 1 or 2 ROC events, and I think this was my second WizKids Open that I went to, just because the venue that hosted isn't too far from where I live, so it's not like I was really going to put forth effort into traveling a lot, you know, because I wasn't really that competitive. However, in the past month, I started practicing for this tournament because I wanted to do well. I never made the top 8 in any of these tournaments, so I wanted to see if I could really, you know, do it. I've been successful in a lot of other things in my life, but you know, I had to work hard for that. So I said, you know, I'm going to put in the time and practice and see what I can do. Obviously, it benefited me a lot because I got second place and I played a lot of good players too. So with that in mind, that was my background into the Heroclix. And from there, we'll go into my team now. And so in the time I was practicing for this, and bear in mind, in the last 3 weeks, I've learned more about Heroclix rules and everything about figures than I have in the past year or so that I've been playing. So I learned a lot, and I researched a lot and practiced a lot. So I chose the Quinjet at 140. and Faust, and Betty Brand and Jarvis. So I looked at, before I decided to pick a team, I did a lot of research on the HT Realms forums. I did research on Apex Insiders, which is a great website. I'm not promoting this, but they offer free, and then I think if you subscribe as well, you'll get more articles from top players in the world. So that really helped me in preparing for this tournament. I think you pay like $2 or $3 a month, and you get more articles on top of the free. So if you guys are willing to do that, I would recommend it. If not, you can still just use the free articles, which is still pretty good. You're getting a lot of information from the top players in the world on this game, so a lot of other games don't offer you that. So I would definitely recommend that. And so I researched the Apex Insiders, HT Realms, any other podcasts I was listening to. I was going full blown into this because I wanted to do well. So I did all of those things. I listened to podcasts. I listen to podcasts every day on my way to work, on my way home. Same podcast. So that would, you know, it's kind of like muscle memory where you keep getting it in your head, and then you'll know. And that's exactly all of that combined is what benefited me in placing well in this tournament. So when picking the team, I chose this team. I saw in the ROC World Cup that, you know, Quinjet obviously made a big appearance, and Faust. He's not banned. It's we'll go into Faust a little bit later, but so he wasn't banned. So obviously, for the things that he does, you know, it really helped a lot of teams. And my strategy or mentality for this tournament was, I don't have a lot of you know, history in Heroclix compared to some of these players that I know I'll be going against, because I've played against them in these tournaments before. And you know, they've had years. Some have had years, some are just like me. Some just caught on quicker and whatnot. But so I wanted a team that I know would do well, and that I know, kind of sounds bad, but that I know that it would give me an advantage in a way, because of maybe not being as competitive or playing as much, having as much experience in this game. So I knew Quinjet was really popular. It's an amazing piece, and for what it does, it's pretty insane. So I chose that. I chose the Quinjet, and then I saw other people playing it. I think the young kid, or is he a teenager? I don't know. But his name was Isaac. I think he was playing. I think pretty much the same team. So I got that idea from him. But me choosing the team, my mindset was I wanted. Because there's all kinds of teams you could choose from. You know, you've got Quinjet teams, you've got Krang teams, you've got Double Dinosaur teams, Swarm teams, Ultron Drone teams. So you know, you have all of those competitive teams, and among everything else, I was really serious about playing a shifting focus Superman team, and that team was awesome. High defense, 21, 22, I think, at some point. So I was really serious. It was between that team and this team, and then I play tested against those teams together. And obviously, every time, if you know, I played it logically, the Quinjet and Faust team always came out ahead. Not saying that, you know, that team didn't win. There were a few times I play tested that the Superman team did win against this, but ultimately I chose this team. So we'll kind of go back to when I saw this team in the ROC World Cup. A lot of people were playing this at half with Faust, and they had Ultron drones, and this and WizKids Open that I played in, there were a few matches where I was like, man, I wish I had an Ultron drone, and I'll go on a little bit more about that later, but I was like, you know what, this thing has I believe 17 clicks and of life, so mathematically, probability wise, it's going to take a while to kill this unless you get like a Krang team that comes in and one shots it, which I did a few times playtesting. And when I playtested, most of the time I playtested it by myself. I had a few times where I have a few buddies that would Skype, and you know, it's kind of hard to do sometimes because of internet bandwidth and whatnot. So, but overall that helped. But for the most part of my playtesting, I would say 80% of it was just by myself, using competitive teams that I've researched and saw that people were playing against. And the Krang team, I playtested a few times. It actually one-shotted the Quinjet. However, keep in mind, or maybe got it on his last click. With that though, this team can retaliate and pretty much kill Krang the turn after. If it doesn't one-shot it, I'm pulling in Nick Fury and then killing Krang. If it does one-shot it, obviously that limits my capabilities for a few call-ins. I think I could only call in Iron Man, Black Canary, and Atom. But with that, I still have Faust and some other and some support if I need it. So I decided I wanted a full dial Quinjet, and then Faust was the choice as well because of everything that he does. And I saw he's been doing well in the tournaments because of what he does. He's so broken, and honestly, I probably won't ever play with him again. I wanted to win, and I wanted to bring everything that I could to help me out along the way. So I chose Faust, and without him on this team, I probably wouldn't have made the top 8. I'm not saying that he's an auto include, but he helped me out so much, and you know, my opponents were you could see it in them, just locking him up or doing all his crazy things. I think the biggest thing that helped me out was his energy dampeners. I don't know what it was, but at the tournament that was like my golden power. And it's funny because the final match for first and second place, I don't think I rolled a lockup power at all. But I rolled 3 or 4 energy dampeners in a row. I can't remember. It was such a long day. But yeah, I was just throwing those out left and right. So, and even though I did all of that, I still lost, but it was a great game. So I chose Faust, and I saw, so back to why I chose this full and then half. I felt playing this at half, even with all the practicing and everything I did, I felt like I would need to really think harder in a way, or play a lot more critically in the game. And even with that, I probably could, but I didn't want to think too much. That's in any of these games, you know, I like to think I like how complex it can get and everything, but I want a team, me personally, I want a team that is top-notch effective and you don't have to do much. That's what I want. But maybe once I start playing Heroclix more and more, and more competitive, and get a lot more under my belt, then I'll start making these crazy fun teams. And when I first started playing, that's what I was doing. But I really didn't know what the team capability could do. I think one point in time, I played a composite Superman with Rainbow Raider and something else in one of the ROC tournaments, and it was cool. I won like maybe 2 matches or 1. I don't know. Maybe I was 1 and 2 or 2 and 1. I can't remember. But you know, that was coming in from a few months of playing Heroclix. But back to why I chose this is I wanted, like I said, I wanted a team that is very effective. Don't have to think for like 10 minutes on exactly how to maneuver and everything and whatnot, and just be very effective. So that's why I didn't decide to play it at the half points. Obviously, if I were to play this team again, I would probably reduce the Quinjet down to 70 and maybe put an Ultron drone or 2 on there. But still, it was great for what it did at full points. And then I chose Jarvis. Obviously, not going too much into Jarvis. He does what he does. He gives you a perplex. He's got where he can only take 1 damage. Can't be countered. Obviously, can be ignored. So you gotta watch out for Pulse Wave. His move actions don't count against him because he has the Avengers team ability. So keep that in mind. I actually use that to my advantage as well. And the big thing from him was that he gives you 3 free ID cards. And when I was building this team with a 140, and you'll see that when they build the teams at the lower point dial, they have more options to include more ID cards. So originally what I was playing with this team was, I think Jarvis was out and I had an Ultron drone in there. So that reduced my ID card call-ins to I think maybe 5 or 4, I can't remember. And I was like, no, I can't do this. I need more options for ID cards to choose from in deciding how to play against my opponent. So I took out the Ultron drone, which I absolutely hated, but I had to, and I put in Jarvis. And from there, Jarvis also gives you the, and a lot of people forget this, and don't forget this about Jarvis, is that if you're in an indoor map, he'll give you the improved targeting for hindering and movement for hindering. So don't forget about that. And then, so the big thing about this was, and a few people were like caught off guard by it, or they were questioning it, or they were just like, oh wow, I can't believe you put Betty Brant on there. So I chose this team, and then I first actually had Betty Brant on there, but then I was like, no, I want Adam in there instead. And then I was like, so the thing why I didn't choose Adam, well, the reason why I put him on the team first was because Colossal Retaliation, and then I have an option to choose a different ID card. But the whole thing with the Quinjet is, one of the cool things with this is the ID column with Adam, which I think every game I did, it's pretty cool. So, you know, you move up once or position your Quinjet with your team to whatever. Obviously, when the Quinjet clears, it'll go up once, and then the next time you can free call in the Atom, and then you'll roll your dice. The cool thing is, you know, normally if you were calling in somebody with free, it would be high points, but you're doing it with low points. So you roll the dice and you hope for that anything above 20. So you're going more on the resource dial than what you would normally do is go back down. So I was like, I only have one Atom too, by the way. And I had a buddy, I was going to use his Atom, but I was like, no, I think I'll use him for his ID call-in, because that alone, what I described with calling him in for free and then rolling up, that is a big advantage for this team. So don't forget that. So then I was like, well, I have Betty Brant, and then also on this I saw, I think Isaac. He was playing with a thug, and I think, yeah. So the thug is 10 points, Betty is 15 points, and the that gave him an extra ID card, I believe, with that 5 extra points. So I thought about that, and I was like, well, I've got 7 ID cards. I could go up to 8, but I think this overall, my ID card selection is pretty solid. And then, so the biggest thing I'll talk about is Betty Brant for this team. I think from my research and listening to podcasts and reading articles, some people really think this piece is good. Some people thought this piece was maybe over exaggerated. Me personally, I love this piece, and the reason why I chose her is for the multiple things that she does. Obviously, she's low points. She's 15 points. She's got a perplex, but you got to push her. She's got some other things that are pretty cool that she does that not really helped me in the tournament, but if certain teams played against me, then she would have an advantage for that as well. So obviously her big thing that I chose her for was the perplex. Obviously don't forget you have to push her, but then she has her I think it's her traded ability that reduces movement on flyers by -1, which isn't a big deal, but if you think about it, if somebody carries or moves, I mean, that -1 can be the deciding factor if they can running shot pulse wave you, carry you to lock you up, or carry to lock you up, or get that 1 extra square for a flyer. So it's not a big deal, but it can be, so don't forget about that. And so the next thing that I saw on her that I liked was on her third click, excuse me, she has support and defend. Now the cool thing about this is her defend is a 14 defense, which is amazing for support. She's got a 9 attack, so it's not going to be that hard to roll a, what is it equal to or higher? So a 5 or higher, or a 6 or higher, I can't remember. But yeah, so then you've got that healing capability. So if the Quinjet, if somebody's like, man, I'm taking the Quinjet out, I'm not going to worry about Faust. Just position her, maybe push her, and boom, heal back up the jet. So you've got 15 points right now for a perplexer, a support defend, which is really good for her values, and a -1 to speed values on flight. All of that combined, I was like, I've got to pick her. And not a lot of people are using her. I've seen 1 or 2 people who were using her on different teams that she did well. So with that, she has 1 more ability. Now this didn't actually hit me until the night before the tournament, because there were certain teams coming in from past WizKids Opens that would be on AC Realms that I was looking at, and it was on the, I think, Apex Insider article. A gentleman chose Dupe and Resman teams, and the Resman teams I've been seeing as well, but that team particularly had Dupe with his double heal effect, and a lot of people were making buzz about it, and still are. I think it's a great team. So I was like, man, if I face this team, which I was counting on somebody definitely bringing, but nobody actually brought the team, what am I gonna do? Because that Dupe can pretty much screw the Quinjet over, and it can't die, being because Resman will pretty much never die unless the other characters are off the board, and if you're playing a good player, they're going to position to where you can't get those guys. So, and then you have dupe, which I've never played against. Yeah, I've never played against, but I read up on him. And so his, abilities, if you're not tracking, is he only takes pretty much 1 damage. And then he has the X-Men team abilities, so somebody can heal him. And then playing Pandora's Box, or just putting a Sloth relic on him. I think it's Sloth or Gluttony, I can't remember. The one that gives him +1 defense and healing. He's healing for a 2 if somebody pulls the X-Men TA on him. So I'm glad I didn't face it yesterday, but that being said, I just realized it the night before that Betty Brant's, I think it's her movement ability or trait, I can't remember. But one of her effects is opposing characters within 4 squares can't heal, I think, until your next turn or something like that. So I was like, wow, she has really good synergy in possibly hampering that team or defeating that team. So my strategy with that, if I ever played it, was to pretty much position correctly, and if that player decides to try and heal, get her within 4 squares, and I believe it's a free action, and hamper their healing, and then just try and kill dupe without losing the the resource dial as fast as I can, while locking him up with Faust if possible. So that was I think she's a somewhat of a counter as well to those dupe teams, so keep that in mind. Maybe not, I don't know, that's my opinion. But 15-point perplex defend support, defend 14 defense, obviously you're only going to use for support, -1 movement speed, and that healing for 15 points. Think about it, that's why I chose it. She did amazing. She didn't use her healing the power yesterday in the tournament, and she didn't, the -1 speed didn't help. Ultimately with her, it was her perplex that helped. Now with this team, so that was the whole reason why I chose Betty over Adam, and I didn't choose the Thug based off of Isaac's build. A little variance, but pretty much his team. So shout out to him for making this team, and I just kind of switch it around a little bit. And yeah, so that's the premises behind the team that I chose, and it did fairly well. I only lost once, obviously, that's why I got 2nd place. So we'll go pretty much right into the tournament, and then I'll discuss at the end just some odds and ends about the tournament, maybe some tips and stuff for you all in the future. Pretty much this isn't going to be for your high players, but maybe you'll get some things, maybe some things you didn't know about Betty Brant or whatever. But this is more for like people like in my position who are just been playing Heroclix for a little bit, or just now starting, or wanting to go full into competitive. So we'll talk about the tournament. The venue that we played at, that I played at, it's a really cool venue, and the judges are really cool, and the one main judge, he's really informative. I like that guy a lot. I already forgot his name. So showed up. I know some players will kind of like ask around, what are you playing, or just looking and see what teams play. I don't really care about that. So I wasn't going around looking at whatever I was playing, because I already knew what I was going to be playing. I knew I was going to be playing Quinjet teams. I knew I was going to be playing Ultrons, maybe a Krang or 2, Lex Luthor or Mystique. I knew I was playing against them, so I pretty much practice. When I play test, I practice against those teams, so I really didn't care. And if somebody about an oddball team, then I would try and play the best I could. So my first match was against and sorry if I forget some of your names. I'm probably not going to remember anybody's except the last person I played, just because that's what's in my mind right now. So the first team I played was the Sabretooth Chase from the X-Men set, Sabretooth Chase, he had an Atom, and Clarion the Witch Boy. And then he also had Spectre at his lower point, I think 35 points for the prob with 12 range. So, and then he had Pandora's Box and a few ID cards, I believe. Yeah. So he was a pretty cool dude. He told me that, you know, this was his first tournament, I think, and he hasn't been playing long. So he had a great team, and it didn't go as well for him as it went for me. But I think if he got a few more games under his belt, then he would have possibly beat me or done well in the tournament. I don't know what his was. Maybe he did do well, but I don't remember seeing him much after that. So I'll try and remember the way it went. So I think I won map because I don't think he was themed. So the map choices, the map choices that I chose were 3 maps. It was, well, 1 map with 2 sides, and then the other, it was the WizKids office, the one that you'll see in previous videos that I played on, the indoor one with a lot of blocking. And then I chose the Superior Foes Spider-Man Bank Heist, and on the opposite side, the Friendly Neighborhood. I believe that's what it's called. Most of the time when I play tested, it was on the Friendly Neighborhood because of the elevation, and Quinjet obviously ignores elevation and can occupy multiple levels of elevation. And so that's what I practice on mostly. So I think he during the tournament, that was, I think I won map roll once. That was the one I won. Yeah, every other game it wasn't, which isn't a big deal because this team can do well on any map, really. Not as well as elevated, of course. So I chose Neighborhood Spider-Man map, and pretty symmetrical. I don't remember what side, so we both just chose a side. And I rolled for Faust and got a lockup power. So pretty much the strategy for how I played this, I watch videos, but they don't really go into detail too much on how to play this team. So I'll try and do my best to describe how I played it, and maybe that'll help you guys if you decide to play this team. Like I said, I'm not going to be playing Faust probably ever again in a tournament. I think he's broken, and a lot of people, he is broken, and a lot of people, competitive players, have the same opinion. He was errated, so you have to only be within 7 squares instead of all over the map. I'm glad I didn't play when that was not errated, because that would just be silly. Even then, though, he still just is stupid and broken, and I hope they do something else with him, or I feel bad for the player playing against him. So I rolled the dice, and I got the lockup power, I believe, of either free actions or movement. So with my team, the Quinjet, my basic strategy was if I rolled one of those, I've got Perplex from Faust, I've got Perplex from Jarvis, and then Perplex, not the first turn, from Betty, but I would have it. So the whole premises of this team, just to go back one more because I forgot to talk about it, is this team does not have prob. I knew that was a big problem because I always want to have at least prob, perplex, and possibly outwit. But I mean, Nick Fury helps with that too. So I've got the perplex and I've got the outwit from the Jet if need be, and then obviously I've got Nick Fury for his ultra power removal. So my idea behind this was I need all the crap ton of perplex I can get, and I've got triple perplex if Betty pushes, and then I've also got, if Iron Man comes in, an additional. So that's 4 perplexes. So I was like, I don't care for probability control. It'd be nice to have, but 4 perplexes, I should get the job done, and for the most part it did. So I think with that game, and I'll just kind of talk about the strategy too, is I double perplexed up his movement, moved Betty over once to get her going so she can push, and then moved the Jet up carrying all 3, and making sure that the jet can position to where he can drop Faust so he can be within 7 squares. And that's how I play tested as well. I saw that, and the only way I could do that with double perplex is if the individual put their players on the number 2 column or row, or is it Bravo? Anyways, the second one up. If they put it back once, then I couldn't get that because they would be at 8 instead of 7. I saw that he put his Atom, his Sabretooth, and I think he did put Clarion on that second one, so I knew I had to go in. Moved up, put Felix in front, and they were all within 7, barely. Locked them up. Since he was a new player, he didn't really know, or he hasn't really played against Faust, so he didn't really know much of what he could do, or maybe he did. I can't remember. But yeah, I pretty much locked him up. So from there, he couldn't do much. Pretty much clear. And then from there, obviously the Quinjet couldn't call anybody but Faust. I only have a limited capability of call-ins with him. I was really thinking when I was making my ID call-ins to maybe reduce somebody. I didn't have the LA Green Arrow. I saw a lot of people playing that, but I think he's still above 80. I was actually thinking about playing the Spider-Man from the Civil War set and the 80.1 that has the Charge Flurry, ignores elevated and hindering. I was really thinking about playing him and substitute for somebody else, but I ended up playing this team. So really the only people that I could call in was Betty Brant, Atom, and Iron Man, or Black Canary, excuse me. So those were my only call-ins, even though those are still effective call-ins for 80 points or below. So from there, I think I single target pulse waved the Spectre because he was off on the side, so I single target pulse waved him, and I think I positioned correctly where she moved out far enough to where his Atom couldn't Colossal retaliate from Black Canary, or my other team. It was just Black Canary, so I wasn't too worried about that. Also, that turn I believe I rolled energy dampeners, so that kind of hindered him again. And from there, you know, he was only allowed to do free actions or movement or whatnot. So he ended up Colossal retaliating Black Canary, and I think he got it. But I don't think he killed Black Canary. And then I pretty much, it was just rolling some crazy things with Faust. I think I got another energy dampener, and I don't think I got any other. Maybe I did get another lock power. I think it was maybe the power action, or the action tokens, where they couldn't remove action tokens. So with that, it was just pretty much calling in figures with Quinjet, taking out his Atom, then started to focus. Because whenever I see a Colossal Retaliate, I always try and get that first, because I don't want to deal with that mess. And this team is revolved around being together, especially for its perplexes. And so I want to try and get rid of that. That's my mindset. And then from there, I took out his Sabretooth. I think he might have killed maybe so I real voided an Atom. I think he ended up killing the Atom, using a few more call-ins, and then just going to town and taking out the rest of his pieces. So so that was really a confidence boost. I get a little nervous on the first game, and so that was a confidence boost. So it kind of settled my tensions, I guess, in a way, for a bit. From there, the second game I played was a a Nick Fury team. It was Nick Fury at full points, KC Spectre at low, KC Green Lantern at low, a Henry, and I think a Fitz with maybe I can't remember if it was Pandora's Box or not. I don't think so. I don't even think he had any ID call-ins. So he won map roll. Put us on some type of elevated map. I can't remember what it was. And I don't think he played too much against the Quinjet or Faust either. I know he's played a lot. He was a good player, and he did make top 8. But I don't think he played against those. He didn't have much experience in playing against these teams. So with that, so like I said, the strategy was the same for every game that I did. Try and get a good lockup power first if I can on Faust. Double perplex up movement on Quinjet, carry him in, and hope that they put him on that second line, and then you can lock him up and do some cool things. This match was a little different. It was a stall game for a while. So I think he kind of just positioned a little bit and then passed the turn. I rolled, I think I did roll a lockup power on something, I can't remember, but I carried up the Quinjet and then or carried with the Quinjet up, and then second turn, I think it was energy dampeners or something else, I went ahead and running shot pulse wave the Spectre, and then so I called him in with Faust, running shot pulse wave the Spectre, brought him, and then carried with the jet pushing all the way back. So then I knew I was a 5-point call in. I killed Spectre, and now I was up on points. So I was like, generally, when I used to play, I didn't want to really just go back and turtle, but it is a viable strategy. So I was like, well, I'm up on points, and I don't like that Nick Fury, and we're playing on an elevation terrain. So I decided I killed that Spectre and then carried everybody back to my starting line. It was either I carried everybody back or I rolled red and put everybody back. Either way, we went back to our starting line. And then from there, I think I rolled another energy dampener. He wasn't positioning too much. He was staying back. And then I just kept rolling Faust every turn because it was back and forth with perplex up defense clear, perplex up defense clear, and I kept rolling until I've decided that I finally got something good. I think it was a lockup power. I saw that he moved up, and then I moved up with the jet. I think it was the action token one where they couldn't remove action tokens. Moved up with the jet, locked this team down. Next turn, I think he did some perplexes, and then I don't know what I rolled, maybe an energy dampener again or something. Cleared, and then he finally cleared, and then I ended up calling out Nick Fury, blasting his Nick Fury to death, and then I think I killed Green Lantern Spectre, or Green Lantern KC, and I think he moved up with Henry, and then I think time was called or ended up killing his Henry. I can't remember, but either way, that was one of those not a fun match really. I was up on points, and a win's a win, so I took it. The next game I played was against one of my buddies that I Skyped a few times, so he kind of already knew what my team was, and I thought I knew his team, but he played something totally different. But I was prepared for it because I playtested against it, and he was playing the Doctor Strange and Felix Faust. So the Midnight Suns ATA with Mystics theme team. So I was like, oh crap, because every time I play against him, I think the last 3 big competitive tournaments that I've been in, that I never could get past top 8 was that I always ended up playing him for the third round of Swiss, and I would always lose. Obviously, you don't want to play against your friend. That's just part of it, and especially if you play test, you kind of know each other's teams. But it's alright because I play tested against that team, so I wasn't too worried about his team, but I was because he had the double D20 roll, and I only had one. But I also have a Quinjet with a lot of ID calling. So with that, he won map roll, and he chose Mount Olympus. I think it's the Superman map with the big blocking terrain in the middle. So I did a little in practicing and researching. I remember that the Quinjet doesn't really like Mount Olympus. I don't know. Some people say it's not good for a Quinjet. I mean, I did okay on it, so I don't think it's a big hindering. It's got the big blocking terrain in the middle, but you've got a taxi, and that it can potentially have 12, 13, 14 movement if I decide to get all my perplexes on it. So it wasn't too big of a deal. So he won. We positioned and put our guys on the map, and then I can't remember what he rolled. I think it was something crap like for Faust. I think he rolled maybe hindering, or can move through hindering, and then Doctor Strange rolled maybe the pink power or willpower. I can't remember. So I rolled Faust, and I don't think I got anything good either. I think it was maybe the replace and modify the brown power, or another crap power. Maybe it was the light green. I don't know. So I knew his basic concept was pretty much with Doctor Strange was, you know, the double D20 roll plus using him for Collins. But I think he only had a Nick Fury and a Black Canary. I think those were his Collins. And he was playing with, I think he was playing with Adam. I can't remember. Was he playing with Adam? Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was. I can't remember. So so the blocking terrain, he kind of positioned back in the starting area, still around. There's some blocking terrain over there. So I moved up on the left-hand side of the big blocking terrain in the middle, carrying all three, doing the normal. Always make sure and move Betty first to get started getting so she can push on her perplex. I don't think I actually perplexed up movement too much on the Quinjet this time, because it could actually move 11 squares and be fine. So I think I positioned on the left hand side. Maybe I perplexed up Faust's defense and then perplexed up the Quinjets, and then positioned correctly so where Faust would always not be able to be targeted for the most part. So you always got to keep him safe. And then I passed the turn. I think he might have rolled a lockup power. Oh, he was playing the box as well, Pandora's box. So he had the white sin and the blue sin, I think. So combat reflexes, and then I think the +1 and then the heal. I think one of the sins. Anyway, so he rolled a lockup power, and I think he moved in. What did he do? Oh, he rolled the yellow power, and then he targeted, I think it was only going to hit Betty Brant, Felix, I think, and the Jet, or no, Betty Brant, the Jet, and Jarvis. So he got it, he nailed it, he hit. I think it killed Betty. And I think the Quinjet maybe took one with his rolls, and then Felix, I don't know if he hit Felix or not. I don't think he hit Felix. So with that, you know, I pumped up the Quinjet dial because it took damage, so I was at 20. I was like, alright, cool. The only way I'm going to be able to target Doctor Strange is if I get in close. So it went to my turn. I think I rolled something crap again on Felix. Called in Adam, and then rolled the dial to whatever. I can't remember what I rolled for him, but it wasn't too high. And then I called in Nick Fury. And then I perplexed up. I think I double perplexed up Adam's attack to a 13. Positioned him to where he could target Faust, and I think Doctor Strange was in it, so he should. Everybody within 2 would take 2, so it would bypass the super senses on Doctor Strange, and he had Eclipse on Doctor Strange, and I think he chose Impervious, but it didn't matter. And I think, and he had like double or triple prob. He had prob from Doctor Strange. He had prob. He rolled the pink power on one. I think with Doctor Strange, so he could replace or make me re-roll one of the dice. So I went in, and I said, this is the only way I'm going to get him off, Doctor Strange off that top Midnight Suns. 13 attack. I rolled. I hit. He probed with Doctor Strange, and I hit again, and I think he made me replace one of my dice because my other one was pretty low. Can't remember what it was, and it was also a hit. It was like a 5 or a 6. So Faust took 2. Doctor Strange took 2, I believe, and then Nick Fury decided to target. I think Doctor Strange or Faust. I can't remember, but he hit 2. I think it was Doctor Strange because he got his +1 for being the highest point, and rolled the dial again, and I think I got up to 50 or 60, and then I passed the turn. He sidestepped, brought in Black Canary, did a pulse wave to, I think, Jarvis, Felix, and Quinjet. I can't remember. I think he killed Adam. And then he sidestepped, and then sidestep carried with Doctor Strange and Faust and went like clear across in the corner. Then I think I free action called in Iron Man. Then I gave him a power action. No, I free called in Iron Man. Power action to call in Green Arrow. This Green Arrow, which is awesome. 12 attack, precision strike, running shot, three targets, and can choose whatever to help you, whatever you go against. So I called him in. Then I think I power actioned to call in, or power action to let Iron Man become the jet or pilot, and then I think I moved Jarvis up because of his free or his powers or his movement doesn't count towards against him, so I still had one action left, which was Green Arrow. So I think I did a few perplexes to get his attack up. I did a running shot, energy explosion, precision strike on him. I think that's what I did. Ended up killing both, I think. Yeah, so that was the game. Was worried at first, but then I saw, my strategy was for that. I was pushing the jet up as close as I could with all the call-ins that I have, limiting where he couldn't get away. And that's pretty much how the game went. And so I won that game. Finally beat him for the first time after like 3 times of playing against him and past events. And then from there, I knew I made the top 8 finally, first time, so I was pumped about that. I was just happy winning top 8. But obviously I had that in the back of my head that I wanted to win. So from there, I think we took a break. I stayed there, just just ate some beef jerky and a Snickers bar or something like that. So make sure that if you ever get a break like that and eat something, you know, it helps your body and it helps you think more. Keeps you relaxed. So then the top 8 happened, and I played a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle team against another guy that I played in different events against, and he was running a Renee Tilly, two of the black and white turtle chases, and a Casey Jones, Splinter, and Pandora's Box. He won map roll, of course, and he chose an indoor map. And so I wasn't too worried about indoor. Obviously, I wanted an outdoor or elevated, but that's okay because I have Faust. So I think he moved up, and it was my turn. I rolled any on Faust, and I saw that his team was grouped up, and so I chose yellow. I targeted a space that didn't really matter anywhere around them, and I hit pretty much a hit on everybody, which was 3 damage, which was really good to start the game. And I think both the turtles rolled impervious because they were together, and everybody else took 3, I believe. Renee took 3, Splinter took 3, and Casey Jones took 3. So I knew I was up. So I was just going to hang back a little bit and then decide, you know, how to reposition or whatnot. And I think my biggest fault in Heroclix is positioning. I understand the powers, understand how they work. I'm pretty good about remembering at the beginning of my turn, at the end of my turn, sidestep, all of this stuff you can do in any order. So I'm pretty good about all that. So I wasn't too worried or too much. Just going to hang back and then just worry about positioning based off of what he did. So I knew I had the upper hand. I think he knew that he needed to come in because if I was rolling hot and rolled another yellow or an any or anything like that, then you know, Felix is going to be a problem. So he moved up, and then what did I do? I think I called in Green Arrow. I had the triple perplex because Betty pushed as well when she moved. I think I didn't roll anything too jazzy on Faust that turn. Yeah, so pretty much Faust wasn't a big help after that. It was that big first time yellow power, and that's why he is one of the reasons why he's broken, because you can target anywhere on the map. So so I think I called in Green Arrow, maybe double perplexed, attack, perplexed up, damage, can't remember. And he had his turtle, can't remember which one, Casey Jones and Splinter together. So I was like, well, he's grouped up again, so we're gonna do energy explosion. So I did a running shot energy explosion, targeting all 3 of those, killed Splinter, killed Casey Jones, and I don't know if I think the turtle took some damage because of maybe it didn't hit him because he had a high defense. It was the one with the +1 defense, so he had one of the sins on him. So I took those 2 out, and I knew, oh man, I'm feeling really good about this now. His team's damage already killed 2 of the things, and then I sidestepped to remove Green Arrow so you couldn't go up on points. And then I think he pretty much moved up. He wanted to get rid of Faust. So I saw that he was going on Faust. I pretty much concluded that Faust isn't going to survive because he has sidestep, charge, flurry, all this shenanigans with the turtles. So then I repositioned my jet. He ended up killing my Faust. And then I think the jet moved up and did I think he had the Iron Man as the pilot then, I can't remember when, and did a sidestep and then a running shot, or the Iron Man might not have been the pilot because I had so many options still at that time because I didn't do any mini call-ins, and I was really hurting his team. But anyways, the Quinjet ended up killing Renee. So I just had the 2 turtles. So the 2 turtles were here on this side, and I was up over here. So positioning was good. There was blocking terrain, but he had some sidestep, and so he positioned up. I think anyway, I think when he hit somebody, I call it an Atom. Atom attacked one of the turtles that was low, or maybe not low at all, and got him down. And then I think I ended up pretty much killing that turtle. He came in with a full point turtle to base my Quinjet, and I started getting I was getting a little tired because it was kind of a long day, and I made a few more call-ins, doing some crazy perplexes, and ended up killing his other turtle. So that was that game. Yeah, I mean, I hammered down on the first few turns, and from there it was just downhill, really. But those turtles are good. And then, so that was the top 8, and then we went into top 4, and I can't remember the guy's name either. He was playing a Lex Luthor, Thug, Atom, and Jarvis team. So that team I didn't really play test too much against. I read about it. I knew how to defeat Lex, but I knew the basic concept of it was using Lex almost strictly for the call-ins, and then potentially coming in and clean up everything. So this game, I think I actually did win map roll on this game, because we were on the chosen neighborhood, Spider-Man neighborhood, and I rolled lockup power again. First turn, did the same thing, move up. I saw that he was positioned on the second row, and from there I moved up, locked him up, and then I think the next turn, so he pretty much cleared, or maybe did some repositioning if it was a free action, I can't remember. Next turn I did I think it was an energy dampener or another lockup power, and I called in Black Canary because I wanted to get rid of Atom again, because I hate playing against Colossal Retaliators. I called in Black Canary, double perplexed, maybe triple perplexed up her attack, and then went to running shot pulse wave both the Thug and the Atom. So this was one of the critical mistakes I made. I knew about it, it just was in the back of my head, didn't think about it, and I was tired, not realizing that the Atom had toughness that can't be countered or ignored. I totally forgot about it. So the Black Canary ended up doing 1 damage to the Thug. I was like, crap. And from there, I think he retaliated on Black Canary, maybe he didn't, but she was gone. But I was positioned again to where she was out of the range of everybody else, so I wasn't too worried about the Colossal Retaliate on my team. I think I got another lockup power or an energy dampener and cleared the jet. Man, the only game I really remember a lot was the last game, because that was the most fresh in my memory. Positioned the jet a little bit, and I think I called called in Atom, pumped up the dial, got the dial up to I think 50 or 60, called in Iron Man the next turn, I think, or free called in to have him be the pilot. So throughout this whole tournament, this was the game that one of the reasons why I chose the Quinjet is that obviously it can make attacks itself. It's pretty good, especially when it has Iron Man as the pilot. So then I just started doing running shot, energy explosion on his grouped up guys, and I don't think he was thinking too much about it at the time. Then he started to realize he needs to separate him because Lex is getting hurt, and that was what was happening. And I think I got Lex pretty low with that energy explosion. Not too low. I think it was maybe like click 4, 5, maybe 3. Can't remember. So he ended up separating those guys. I moved Felix back because he wasn't too hot on the dial or on his D20 rolls. So I wanted to keep him safe, keep him in the game to get maybe some more annoying D20 rolls. But then he wanted to pretty much take out Felix Faust, and he pretty much did. He took out Felix Faust. I still had my triple perplex. I think I called in another guy. Oh, I called in Nick Fury, because he called in Nick Fury to take out my Faust, and I thought I had it, but I couldn't remember exactly the amount of dials or clicks that his Nick Fury had. And so this comes into a point when you start playing Heroclix more and more, you'll start to remember the dials, especially when you go to competitive events and you see recurring figures. You'll start to remember their dial clicks. So it's very important when you're playing competitive events to know the dials. Fortunately for me, I didn't. I got my Nick Fury up to I think like 4 or 5 damage, and went to town on his Nick Fury, thinking I could go up on points, which I would have if I killed Nick Fury, but I got him on his last click, and so he was still alive. So it was a waste, but it was worth a shot, I guess. So then from there, I think he called in again somebody else. I ended up doing, I think, another running shot, double target on Jarvis and Thug, killing him. So then it was just Lex to deal with. So I was like, I still got the Quinjet. He's still like maybe click 2 or 3 at the, maybe, I think it was at click 2, so he still had running shot. And then I had my triple perplex still. So I knew when I was facing this team, my only pulse waivers, I pretty much eliminated the strategy of trying to base Lex because he had the Sin Relic on him so he could sidestep. And so I pretty much eliminated that because I knew he would probably break away if I tried to get up close to him. So I knew I needed my Batman and my Black Canary for running for Pulse Wave. I wasted the Black Canary, so I was like, this is gonna suck because he had some pretty big ID call-ins. He had Wonder Woman, War Machine, Nick Fury, I think my Green Arrow, and I can't remember if I called in Adam or not. I think he ended up killing my Adam. And then so he called in somebody. The Quinjet was somewhat close. I sidestepped. I started in the past few turns. I knew I needed to get my jet up because the Batman was at 150. And I knew I needed to get my jet's dial up to free call him in as a real character. And so that's pretty much what happened. I sidestepped up, caught him after he called in somebody. Called in the Batman. I was on lower elevation. Batman ignores elevation. I think it was crazy. I got Batman, chose Pulse Wave, increased his attack by 2, I think, and his damage by 3. So triple perplex, 1, 2. Anyway, it was either 13 attack with 6 damage or 14 attack with 6 damage, but I knew Lex was hurt. Oh, and Lex earlier healed too, so he went back up to I think like click 2 or 3. And then I was like, this is it. This is what I'm gonna do. I running shot Pulse Wave, and ended up killing his Lex Luthor. So that was my round 4. He was a good player. He's really good. But I ended up killing his Lex Luthor, and that's exactly what I plan on doing. And if you play Lex Luthor teams, from what I'm tracking, you swarm them, you pulse wave them, or you energy explosion. So out of the two of that match, I energy exploded and pulse waved them, and that's what killed Lex Luthor. So keep that in mind. From there, I was totally pumped because I made second place. I was just happy with that because I found I asked earlier, and I kind of knew that you'll get an invitation to nationals, so I was just happy about that, and plus the prize support that I got as well. So coming into this game, I didn't know the team I was playing against. I saw his Solaris earlier, but I didn't know. So he was playing, his name was Tyler, he's a really cool dude, and he was playing a Solaris, a Nighthawk Prime, which is the bane of me. I hate Nighthawk Prime. And he was playing a Justin Seifert, and Adam with a box and 2 ID Collins, maybe a few more. And I wasn't too worried about the team. I was worried about the player, but I mean, still a good team. But I knew he was a really good player, and I knew with not having much under my belt, that that it's going to be a rough game for me. It ended up being a good game, but some of the roles, and I knew it was going to be rough because my team depended on Perplex instead of Prop. That's what all mattered, and then you have Nighthawk Prime, so that really put a damper on my team. So with this match, I was just excited and fun. I didn't let anything keep me down because I already knew I made second place, so I was just going to have fun and try and do the best I could. So he won map. He put us on another WizKids map, the ones that they sold. I don't remember the name, but it was the one, it's got the nice material, and it's got elevated, and then it's got a little area down here. It's like a little bridge that comes over, and then an area over here, and then an area over here, and some blocking. So whatever, it was elevated, so I was like, okay, that's cool. But it helps his team too because he has a Colossal Solaris, and it was at the 150 points, or I can't remember, but it's the higher point, so that's his main attacker. So I think he does his sin assignment, or power action, give him a sin, and then kind of, I think, hangs back. I roll energy dampener. Yeah, I think I rolled an energy dampener. Put energy dampeners on him. Moved up my Quinjet a little, like 2 squares, because I knew that that Solaris had 10 range with, I think, multiple targets. So he could still, if I moved up and was aggressive, then he could still make a range attack, because as Colossal, if I were to get in a lower elevated, he would still be able to shoot me. So I kind of played a little non-aggressive at first, moved up, and then he pretty much just moved his guys a little bit to get the energy dampeners off. And then comes back to my turn. I free action, put the energy dampeners back on, and then I roll my d6. So this was one of the games, I think I did in past games, that and I tried to get clarification, never found a ruling the night before the tournament, because I was doing this and I almost 90%, 95% sure it is legal. I clarified with the judge too, and he said the same. Yeah, it is. So you can actually do, unless somebody comes up with a ruling and put it in the comment. I've posted on Realms. We haven't found a ruling that says no, you can't. It's a free action. You can use energy dampeners again, then roll a d6. Thing being is that those energy dampeners stay even if the power's lost. This whole game I didn't get a lockup power once. The only thing I did was energy dampener. So I rolled the d6, and I believe I got an energy dampener again. He already had his energy dampeners on him, and so I moved up my Quinjet because I knew to get in the deal with them, I'm going to have to try and get some of my close combat guys, or get in close, because he's just going to be staying back and I'll be out of range. So I was pushing the jet a little bit and positioned up below elevated, thinking that he might make a ranged attack, but he ended up moving, which I didn't see coming, staying out of range, which was pretty smart move. And then I think I did energy dampener again. He was just moving, and then I called in a green arrow, you know, and I think I did energy dampener him again, or rolled something that wasn't too good. I think I rolled the cannot replace and modify for him, and then I called in green arrow because I knew with his high attack, and I couldn't perplex up because of the Nighthawk Prime, that that was probably my best bet. Called him in, dual targeted Adam because I wanted to get rid of him, and I think Nighthawk Prime. Nighthawk Prime, maybe. Yeah, so ended up killing Adam, and Nighthawk, or not killing Nighthawk. I think I damaged him. I think he missed his shape change. And so I did like one with precision strike to Adam, and then 2 to Nighthawk Prime. So I got him down a little bit, got him off that shape change, so he was hurt, I think. And from there, I was up on points, but I knew playing this team that I was going to have to get aggressive and try and kill it, because he could just sit back, and if I'm not rolling good with Faust, he would just pick off my team, because he could literally just use Justin, and that Solaris has a 10 range. It's nothing. It is something, excuse me, and and he could just pick off my team. So I had to be aggressive. I stayed around there. I think I rolled. So I think he attacked. I think he hit Faust. I don't think he killed him. And then I free action called in Adam. Placed him to where he could make an attack. I think he hit. He missed, and then I power actioned to make an attack on. I don't think I did on the Colossal because he had Embalm. So then I think I rolled the red starting line, so I tried to make an attack real quick and then kick everybody back, and that's what happened. Then from there, I think I rolled energy dampener again, and it was just like playing the first turn or second turn, and I pretty much did the same thing. Moved up a little bit, he did his thing, I moved up again, he moved over there, and now I was really tired, and I was just, you know, I was complacent. I was you know, I wanted to win. I had the upper hand, but I knew even with 15 points up, he could come back and he could pretty much pick me off. So then I think what happened was I called in Nick Fury, and I made a crucial mistake here because I had the range. I was going to target Solaris. And I put him on the right side of the jet instead of in front, so he had 9 range. So if he was in front, he would have had the 9 range to Solaris. Instead, I put him on the side, and Tyler's a really good player. He corrected me because I always forget every time I play against Nighthawk Prime, and it ceases. It always fails me is that I never remember. I was like, you know, he still gets the shield, and then he had to remind me that no, because of Nighthawk, because I forgot also that that was a trait, and I thought it was his one of his special attack or damage abilities. So I forgot about that. So I ended up calling in Nick Fury for nothing. The only benefit was to bump up the dial. I rolled the dial, or rolled the dice, and I got a 1, so it only went up 1. So not a big deal. I think he ended up coming back to kill Faust that turn, so Faust was done. So he was definitely up on points. So now I had to really and Betty Brant. I think he killed Betty Brant too. Yeah. So I had an Adam, and then I think the next turn I free actioned Adam. I think this time I did hit Solaris. Got him down 2, and then I think I did a few perplex. So even though I couldn't perplex up, I was like, think about it, I can perplex down. So I perplexed down his defense, and then Adam hit him, and then I think he made an attack this turn, and I think he either missed or hit. I think it missed, and then I think I positioned the Quinjet up, so it was occupying 2 elevation. Sidestep, because I had Iron Man as a pilot. Sidestep up, I called in. So yeah, Iron Man was called in earlier as a free action, and then he was the pilot. Then I called in Nightwing. Maybe it was the next turn, but I ended up calling in Nightwing. Perplexed down his defense again. I think I hit him, but then the next one I think missed because the perplex went away because he was damaged. And then from there, I think he shot my Adam with Nighthawk, killed the Adam, and I think he was outwitting some things on my Quinjet too, so I couldn't do much with attacking with it. I think I cleared, I think he cleared, and it was really down in time. It was 5 minutes more or less. He did a few things, and then it was my turn. I called in Black Canary. I think he healed up once with the relics, so I didn't know exactly. I've never played against Solaris, and I didn't know his dial, so I didn't know exactly. I knew he was hurt, so I knew I could potentially kill him. But I know Colossals have stop clicks, so probably not. But you know, it was I think it was in with like maybe a minute or 30 seconds. I called in Black Canary. Couldn't use my perplexes on Black Canary, so I think I maybe perplexed down his defense. Did a running shot, single target pulse wave on Solaris, because Nighthawk was around here, so I had a position, and I think I missed the attack. And that was the game, pretty much. I probably missed a lot of things with calling in, but overall that was the game. I was tired. I was fine with second place. I wanted first place. I got the prize support. Tyler was really cool, yeah, it was a good game. First time I ever made top 8, I actually went up to second place. So found out that I got, I think I get an invitation to the Nationals or not, I can't remember, but if I do, then I'm definitely going next year. And I think I'll have a lot more games under my belt, and I'll actually think I might do well. So I got some prize support here. I actually already have the arrow. I think I got that in a trade. Turtle Van, some of these things are already being traded out. That's why I was like, man, I can trade these for things I want. I got a lot of stuff coming in. Facebook, Heroclix trade channels. I use those. They're really good. If you don't, get on there, get Facebook, and start making some trades. It's really good community. A lot of the competitive players, the top players in the world are on there. You can even just talk to them. It's really cool. Ask questions or whatever. So yeah, I got all of this stuff. I was pumped. I've been wanting the Casey Jones for a long time. I finally was like, I was actually gonna trade or buy him last week because I saw somebody was actually had a really good price. Was like, I'm gonna wait, see how well I do. Maybe I'll get some of the stuff. Well, I ended up getting almost all of the stuff that I wanted. But yeah, I mean, I got Hawkman. Haven't really looked at him too much. Got Bat Hound. I'm a big animal guy. I got the Streaky. I got Streaky, Ace the Bat Hound, and I think that I can't remember Crypto. Yeah, so I got him. So it'd be fun to make a team. I'm a big Guardians of the Galaxy guy. My wife is too, so she'll probably end up playing this if I can get her to start playing again. Red Robin, I know a lot of people want this, but probably not going to trade it unless I get something good. Shredder, Man Spider, a Daredevil. I like Daredevil a lot. Got some Batman, and this is what I really wanted was the Punisher van because I like Punisher a lot. So finally got that. So I got some ID cards, but yeah, totally. So that was just prize support. Let you guys know what you get if you ever do well. So me, I'm not too competitive. I'm starting to get into it now. You know, just to let you all know, I told you earlier about my history, and I don't really have, you know, I'm not going out to all these competitive events and doing them, winning all the time. This is the first time I make top 8. I actually made second. So don't let all those, you know, don't let all of that stuff neglect you from going out and trying to win. With me, like I said, you know, about a year of experience with Heroclix. I practiced hard, I studied hard, and I ended up getting second place. So if I can tell you that, I would definitely say definitely practice. Practice if you want something, practice hard for it, and do a lot of research with all the things I told you about. And yeah, so make sure you get a good night's rest for the tournament. You know, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. A lot of people tell you that. You know, I got like 9 hours of sleep. Eat a good breakfast among anything, and know what you're getting into. Don't be blindsided. I think that was one of my big faults with not doing well in past tournaments, is not knowing what's out there. Do your research, see what people are going to be bringing, and start making a team that can not only defeat one team but a plethora of teams. And that's why the Quinjet is so good, is because you have all of these ID call-ins that you can do, and kind of branch out to take care of a lot of teams. Felix Faust is a broken figure. I will probably never play him again. I'm probably going to put him up for trade or sale. But I brought him, like I said earlier, I brought him because I wanted to win this, and it gave me an advantage. And he's broken, and I don't think this piece needs, I don't think it's good for Heroclix for what he does. I think he needs another errata. I've heard a lot of people telling different things about how they could do it. I think he should be either banned in these competitive scenes, or errated more for the competitive tournaments. So that's that. And yeah, that was my experience. I had a wonderful time. A lot of cool players there. I wanted to do battle royales, but I was doing so well, so I said, forget it. I'm just gonna keep playing, and obviously I got everything here. So other than that, if you've got any questions or anything, or just put them in the comments below, and I'll post this up on a few sites to let you guys know that I've got this. So this is going to be like a thorough, in-depth WizKids experience for me for the McClix, and my strategy for the team. I didn't play with Ultra drones. A lot of people that I read about said that, you know, this team isn't good with Ultron drones. Well, I got second place, and I just proved that you don't need Ultron drones with a Quinjet to do well. Obviously, there were certain times in that game I wish I had Ultron drones specifically for when you carry up, lock somebody down, and then you have now an Ultron drone that can sidestep up and call in one of the big guys. That would really help. But I actually liked my strategy. I think it did well. Obviously, it proves to do well. And that's it. Hopefully you guys will get something out of this video, whoever you might be, wherever you might be, and push yourselves to try and do well in a competitive event or just casual or whatever you want to do. So this is the McClix channel, and this was my thorough in-depth guide of my WizKids Open experience. I hope to see you guys around in tournaments. Like I said, I don't travel much, but if I start getting more competitive, I might go to some local states or something, but I generally will stay in my area. And we'll have, like I said, I got everything up and running again, so we'll start having more videos coming out. Usually every Friday night or Saturday we'll play either the board game or Heroclix. I think I got a video of the Game of Thrones card game that we played, so I'll try and put that up there. I'll get this uploaded soon, and then it's for you guys to enjoy. Other than that, good luck. Thanks for everybody who watches our videos, and until next time, we'll see you around. Alright, see you later.